Today, we wanted to talk about something a little bit different than we've talked about in the past. And this is really more about what's it like to be a renter in the market and consider whether or not you should buy a home. And actually, this topic came up this weekend when I was visiting our daughter in Idaho, and we were talking about buying houses. And she is definitely in the I want to be a renter camp, which is very ironic since her parents are realtors. So I did walk her through the math to show her what the opportunity cost is of choosing to rent for for several years versus buying. And so we thought might be kind of fun to talk about this here too.
Yeah, I mean, and I know on social media, there's lots of discussions about it. On one hand, you hear people talk about how it's one of the key ways of developing generational wealth. On the other hand, there's a lot of people that say, I hear like experts say that, buying a house is, you're just dumping money into it, and it, you may lose your money, or it's not as simple as just renting. Just rent it. Renting is simpler.
Right. So what we're going to do is walk through an example and show you what the costs are, what it looks like over a 5-year period, or about 5 years, and what the benefits are at the end. So we're going to just start with a scenario that I think is pretty reasonable for buyers in the Sacramento area. And that's a $600,000 home purchase with 10% down. And we're going to assume a current interest rate, which is 6.625%. These rates are here to stay for a while, so we should be talking in real math.
Yeah. Also, and our 600K home, could be in our mind. We were like, okay, it's in Rockland. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's probably 13 to 16, 1700
Correct.
Square feet, 2-car
Depending
garage.
on age. Yep.
Regular residential house, not a duplex, not an apartment, not a condo, just to kind of picture in your mind what we're talking about. And when Kirsten mentioned we're talking about a 5-year thing, is the math that we ran, in our calculators says the break-even point is about 5 years.
Yes.
Now, of course, you could own your home for much longer than 5 years, and it gets even better after that.
Yes.
But under 5 years, to kind of cut to the end.
Right. Yeah. It will cost money. And that's one thing that we did want to recognize up front, is that home ownership does cost money. It's expensive. It is expensive to get started. And we realize for a lot of people that, it takes a bit of time to save that money, and it's scary emotionally as well as financially to take this on. So maybe this is just to give you a little reassurance that, it's good to trust the process and see what happens at the end.
Yeah.
So, and also one other thing with the scenario I wanted to point out is that we assumed an annual appreciation rate of 3.5% for a home. Although when I did research on it, the Sacramento appreciation rate is actually more like 4.5% to 5% over the last 30 years. So again, trying to give a very conservative model. And we've also assumed a 3.5% rent appreciation cost as well.
And for the keyboard warriors, we understand that the appreciation rate is average over time. So that's why we used about 3%. That's kind of what to expect. The last few years, it's been kind of flat to maybe slightly down, but basically flattish. We're not, there's no line of sight on some sort of collapse or, in market pricing. I know lots of people feel like pricing is overrated or raised too high. It is difficult to buy a house for young folks these days, and older folks too.
Right.
So we're not getting into that part. This is really kind of a comparison of what does it cost you if you were to rent the same house versus buy a similar house.
Right. Apples to apples as best we can do it. So, all right, going back to our scenario, I'll just reset. $600,000, 10% down, which is $60,000. At today's interest rate is 6.625%. Now, your monthly payment will be about $43.85 a month, and that includes principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So this is all estimated, but approximately that much. However, because you are a homeowner, you will also get a tax write-off for your mortgage. And we assumed that most people kind of in the first-time home buyer range will have a 22% tax bracket.
for the marginal
for the
tax,
yes.
yeah.
So
for federal tax.
Yes. So we that's a $650 a month of tax credit towards your payment. So 4385 minus the 652 is 37, 32, 33. There's some rounding in there. So, and I think for the same house, we estimated that rent would be $2,700 a month. So when you're looking at that, you see right off the bat that the cost per month is about $1,000 more to buy a house. And so I can see for a lot of people, it feels like home ownership doesn't make sense because they're paying a lot more for a house. And one thing, just as we go forward, I want to point out that rent will go up. Like, you know, we've seen it happen historically. So we've assumed, you know, we set a 3.5% rate of increase. So when you average that over 5 years, 2,700 actually goes up to payment of about 3,100. So the average of that is just under $2,900 a month. It's $2,889.
Right,
Lots
so
of math in this one.
That's a lot of numbers. The key thing to note is as Kirsten pointed out, the rent increases over time.
Yes.
You know, and it's not a fixed thing. It doesn't always go up by 3%, but you would imagine your landlord is going to be increasing your rent over time.
Right.
If you own the house and you're in a fixed rate mortgage, not an adjustable rate mortgage, your payment is staying the same over 30 years. So while rent is going up, your payment's staying flat. And hopefully as we all try to grow our income and things, your income gets better. So you kind of grow into the rate or into the payment a little bit. I think it's a key thing to note is that while yes, at day one, it's more expensive to be owning the home than it is to be renting at the surface month to month level.
Right.
You know, and, you know, we're not counting what you could be doing alternatively with the $60K down payment money.
Right. But even if you did invest that, I did do some math, and over the same period of time, using a normalized rate of return, it was like $6,000-7,000. It wasn't huge.
Yeah.
So, anyways, actually, that's probably not quite right. So,
yeah, that's okay.
Well, we'll ignore that piece.
Yep.
Regardless. Sorry, just doing the math in my head.
Maybe
yes.
per year.
Yes. Exactly right. So, all right, let's get to the bottom line here. We said that the break-even point hits, it's just before 5 months or 5 years, it's 4 years, 10 months. And after that period of time, if you were to sell your house, which you may or may not choose to, but we're just trying to keep it clean here, your closing costs would be about $75,000. You will have made about $254,000 of payments. And, you know, we're just assuming some maintenance throughout the 4+ years. It's about $16,000 of maintenance. And during that same time, you did also get some appreciation on your house. This is the fun part, is you had appreciation of $108,000. You also paid towards the principal on your loan about $32,000. And we all love this part, tax savings of about $37,000. So your total cost to own the home for 4 years and 10 months is just over $166,000. And renting at the starting rate of $2,700, which grew over the time as we explained, your cost to rent is $167,500. So
that's the break even.
That's the break even. But it gets better than that. Even if you sold the break even, you're still ahead, and we can explain why. And I don't know.
Because one of the key things to note is, remember, in this payment that you're making, when you're comparing it against rent, there's a major component in that payment, which is the principal on the loan. So that's just going back into your equity. It's like a savings account where it's kind of just going back. It's knocking the loan down into smaller and smaller pieces. So when you go to sell the home, it becomes part of your equity, right? So that's one of the pieces that, you know, that you're looking at when you go to sell the house. And did you go over, or are we going to go over the what you would net if you sold the home?
Yes, that's our next step.
All right, well, let's go right into it then.
So what we're going to show you, and you can see it here on our graphic, is that equity at the time you close is $201,000 on paper. However, after paying off your closing costs, you'll actually walk away with $152,000. So not only did you break even on your house, so it didn't cost you more to own it than it did to rent it.
Yeah, your 60K turned into
To
160K.
Yes. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's
In
pretty darn
5
good
years.
return. Yes.
So that's, I mean, that's definitely better return than if you had invested your 60K,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you're not going to double it plus, basically.
Yeah, 2.5 times.
Yeah, 2.5 times in 5 years.
Yes.
So and you had a place to live.
Yes.
Right. So,
that you could make your own.
Yeah,
you could paint the walls, you could put wallpaper
you
up.
have control over it. You have control over what you do in the yard. You have control over what you put on the walls. You have control over living there, because you don't have a landlord or a rental company that's like, oh, hey, we're gonna sell the house. You need to move. Oh, hey, we're gonna increase the rent a lot, and so either pay it or you need to move.
Or we don't allow pets.
Or this insecurity. Yeah, you can have pets if you want. So there's a lot of benefits to owning your own home. And while, yes, the upfront cost is a little bit of a hill to climb, and that's the challenge. But what we're trying to describe here is that it isn't as simple of just comparing the two payments, because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the back end. Now, do you still need to be able to afford the payment? I mean, the payment is the payment. So you still need to figure out how you can afford it. But over time, you'll grow into it. It will stay flat, and an equivalent rent would be going up.
Right.
So we've seen some people, have a roommate for a little bit, or do some things to kind of offset some of the cost in the short term.
Right.
While their investment, which is the home, is appreciating. Much like you would do if you were renting sometimes too.
Right.
For those that we know, our old kids that are renting, all have roommates. So
yes. So anyways, we hope this information was really helpful for you. If you are thinking about starting your journey to home ownership, we'd love to talk to you and just walk through the numbers. Feel free to reach out.
We can customize the numbers to fit what you're looking at. If you're looking for something smaller than what our example was, we can, run or in a different area, we can run all the numbers against your current rent and help you kind of see how it impacts you.
Yep. And also what loan options are. There's ways to even reduce the loan rate, things like that, to create opportunity.
Or less than 10% down payment as well.
Yes. So thank you very much.